Well, today's guest has packed a lot of living into her relatively short number of years on the planet. She's been a high-level athlete who earned a journalism degree, a business development professional in China, and also supported nonprofits in Central America. And she spent the last 14 years running the North Valley Community Foundation here in Chico. So Alexa Benson Valavanis, welcome to NorCal News Now.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
How are you?
Doing good.
Good.
Really good.
Really excited to get to know you and
I'm
chat
really
with you a
happy
little
to be
bit.
here.
Yeah, this is fun. This is fun. Well, why don't you get started a little bit and let me know. There's a lot of things in that intro that I mentioned. So, of those things, or something maybe that I didn't mention.
Okay.
What really defines you? How do you define yourself?
Good question. I think love. I think how I love and how I'm loved would be how I'd like to be defined on the planet.
Mm-hmm. And what does that mean? I mean, what is it? I mean, we all know what love means, but how do you
Sure.
define that?
Well, I think for me, and you referred to my time in Guatemala and also my time in China before the North Valley Community Foundation, and certainly before the recent devastation of the Camp Fire, I've really been driven by a mission to reduce suffering in the world. And that understanding came about for me when I realized that all human beings have suffering and we have joy too, and that love was just a beautiful way to heal ourselves and to heal others. So for me, if you were to ask me how to define my experience here, it's going to be how helpful am I in reducing suffering and promoting joy, and how well I love and how well I'm loved.
Boy, it's hard to keep that perspective. I mean, the world's a hard place. There's a lot of not love in the world. There's a lot of hatred. There's a lot of fear. So sometimes you have to maybe reinforce that. So what do you do to kind of replenish your optimism and your love?
Yeah. Well, I think it's true that there's a lot of hurt in this world, but I also think overwhelmingly that this is a beautiful place. And I'm so driven by the goodness in human beings and by our inherent desire to help one another, care for one another, that for me, it's not all that scary here. Of course there's danger, of course there's fear, of course there's heartbreak and suffering, but there's so much more love, and there's so much more good, and there's so much more in terms of the ability for us to come together and take care of each other than there is the opposite. So I'm driven by that. How am I replenished? I can tell you that I've been very challenged since the fire to find ways to replenish because of what I'm faced with on a day-to-day and what my team is faced with on a day-to-day, and just our community at large. Excuse me. And so I take solace in the time I have with my wife and my son, and as often as I can, getting on a playground and playing, and even jumping on the trampoline, truthfully.
That's great.
And that's the truth.